President Donald Trump says the United States is preparing to increase economic pressure on Iran. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said new measures could come as soon as next week. But what options are actually on the table? This is not starting from zero. Since the war began in February, Washington has imposed additional maritime, energy, and financial sanctions and has begun a naval blockade. The Treasury Department says more than 1,000 people, vessels, and aircraft have been sanctioned since Trump began his second term. One major option is targeting China's independent oil refineries, commonly known as teapots. China buys more than 80% of Iran's shipped oil, according to 2025 data cited by Reuters. Sanctioning these buyers could make it harder for Iran to sell its oil. But there is a major complication. These refineries have relatively little exposure to the U.S. financial system, meaning sanctions may be harder to enforce. And stronger action against China could provoke retaliation from Beijing. A second option is financial. The United States could impose secondary sanctions on Chinese banks involved in processing Iranian oil revenues. Treasury has already warned two larger Chinese banks that they could face sanctions if Iranian funds were found moving through their systems. But Reuters notes that targeting major Chinese banks could trigger retaliation from Beijing. Another option is to keep targeting the networks that help Iran evade sanctions. That could include Iranian individuals and companies, oil shippers, purchasers, currency exchangers, and entities in China and the Gulf. Reuters describes this as a whack-a-mole approach. When one company is sanctioned, another can appear to replace it. Experts say the strategy has so far not fundamentally changed Iran's behavior. Further aviation sanctions are another possibility. The goal would be to make it harder for Iran to move goods and conduct trade by air, particularly after the United States blocked Iranian shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. The most dramatic option mentioned by Reuters is a land blockade. Some U.S. and Israeli officials have floated the idea of restricting Iran's land borders. Such a plan would require assistance from Iran's 7 neighbors: Iraq, Turkey, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. But this is important. Reuters does not report that a land blockade has been ordered. It is an option floated by officials, and experts say it would be difficult to execute and might not produce the political pressure its supporters expect. Trump has also repeatedly threatened tariffs against countries that do business with Iran. But there is a major legal obstacle. The U.S. Supreme Court has struck down the legal basis previously used for those tariffs. A Senate-passed sanctions bill could give Trump new tariff powers against countries helping Iran's commerce or weapons procurement. But the bill still has to pass the House of Representatives. So what has Trump actually announced? He has vowed to hit Iran hard economically. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said Washington will introduce measures that, in his words, have never been seen in the history of economic isolation of a country. But as of August 16, Reuters has not identified a single new measure as Trump's final choice. The specific options are still being considered. The most credible options reported by Reuters are increased pressure on Chinese oil buyers and banks, additional sanctions on sanctions evasion networks, further aviation restrictions, a possible land blockade, and new secondary tariffs if Congress provides the necessary authority. For now, the key point is simple. These are options reported by Reuters, not 6 actions that Trump has already ordered. The next major development will be what Washington actually announces. We'll keep following the facts as they develop. Subscribe, comment, and share the video.